Hey, really glad you joined. And today I wanted to talk about separating from an abusive, toxic system, which often happens once we wake up to the fact that we're in one. So mine started in childhood, and I left that family home when I was 17 and pretty much didn't go back. And there was a period of 3 years where I had to take a complete separation from my mom just to work through some of the issues that had come up during that time. And then I had to separate again while divorcing an alleged narcissist. Because oftentimes, when you have issues of growing up in a toxic system, they repeat in your adulthood and it can affect our relationships. And this is coming to mind because I spent some time with an extended family member who's thinking it's time to separate after a long term marriage. And it's hard, but the first step is to come to a place where you have the esteem, you have the self worth, you have the value. You've woken up to the fact that you're in a toxic system or you're playing into one and you are beholden to that system. And you need to have the courage it takes and the self worth and the value it takes to leave. So you're in that circumstance, and then you have to take the step to do it, which really takes so much courage. We get so trained into serving the abuse and serving the abuser that it takes tremendous courage to leave it because sometimes it's all one has known. So, bravo and applause to you that you've come to that point finally, and you'll know when that point is. Oftentimes, there's some kind of health condition that's surfaced, or a financial disaster, or some other type of real red warning flag that comes up that falls on our head, and we say, no more can I take this. So that's the first step, getting to that point and making the decision. And then once you are really clear and make that decision, there's no backing down and there's no backing out. And yes, you're right. It takes tremendous courage. It's not the easier, softer way, but it's better than disintegrating into the trauma and into the toxicity. So then it's about creating boundaries, whatever that is for you. And I'll just talk about separating from an alleged narcissist because that's what I experienced. And in that circumstance, I had to hold no contact. So, no contact, no responding to the multiple voicemails, the multiple texts, the emails, or the triangulation when they talk to a family member or friend and try to get information from you that can be passed back on to them. No, none of that. And to separate from the drama, to separate from the toxicity of the gossip, to separate from wanting to get up and over one more time, to convince the abuser or the abusive system that you are in the right and they are in the wrong. Not going to happen. Completely stepping up and out of the victim role and shutting down the desire to stare at the train wreck is absolutely necessary to clearly extricate yourself from a toxic system, family, or circumstance. And it's really hard, but it's possible. And once you start living in that new zip code, the insanity of the circumstance gets more clear. And you start to attract healthier people in your life that can provide authentic support. And you start to see it's reflected back to you what you were allowing and how deeply you had gone, dropping your esteem to take care of the toxic system. And once you start garnering that esteem, you don't even have interest in engaging again. It seems bizarre. It seems surreal that you would have ever allowed that in the first place. And then you develop healthy communication between your own being and yourself, your inner child, that inner compass within you. It gets clearer, and you start to trust yourself, and you start to live a more rich, a safe, a healthy life. You start taking care of your own being like you took care of that toxic family member, or that toxic spouse, or that toxic partner, or that toxic sibling. And you have to be strong enough to drop what you think you might have gained if you'd stayed in that toxic system. And slow by slow, you find out that you have authentic power. And you start to feel the freedom of being released from the toxic ties and the tit for tat and the false promises. And you start to serve yourself authentically, and miracles start to happen. Opportunities come, abundance comes. Friends and family can shift. They become friends and family of choice. You spend time with yourself for the first time after getting out of serial relationships, and you start to fall in love with your own being. And then you see you can walk through anything with strength, with hope, with happiness, and you fear less the future. And this is what I hope for you. Check out the website, susangold.us. There's a free course that's been helping a lot of my subscribers. It's called Signs of a Toxic Family. And it's very short, but it helps you break denial of toxic systems you may have been engaged in, how to recognize it, how to separate from it, and tools to soothe and support it. And it's free. So I really encourage you to go to susangold.us and scroll down to the footer and dump in your email for Signs of a Toxic Family. It's a free course. And don't worry, I won't bombard you with emails, but it is helping so many of my subscribers. And I really wanted to share that again with you if you haven't checked it out, because there's no reason we need to fall down. There's no reason we need to melt ourselves to save someone else. It is possible. It takes courage, it takes strength, it takes fortitude, and it takes tenacity. But ultimately, you will live in freedom. And I really encourage you to stand up. And yes, we are in this together. Thanks so much for tuning in. If this has helped you and you want to think about subscribing, I'd be grateful. And if it might help somebody else that's going through a particularly toxic circumstance, please share it. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Take good care.